Hello, today we're looking at regular expressions and how you might use them when web scraping or when converting a PDF to text or extracting the text from a PDF. Regex examples, so regular expressions, regex. If you're doing it in Python, then you just import re, so all the same thing essentially. And there's an article which I've written with the examples, which is on my red and green website. I'll put the link here. You can skip straight to that if you want to bypass the rest of the video. The examples are on GitHub. And if you'd like to see me using a couple of good examples and explaining them, then keep watching. Hello. So what we're looking at here is regular expressions, regex, re, whatever you want to call it. If you go to this page, you can see I've documented a couple of real life examples. So without further ado, let's have a look. So first one, we're going to be trying to extract a paragraph of text from a website, which it matters not which website. If you've got a paragraph of text and within that paragraph you have something like number of floors. So in an apartment building or a big house, say you've got 2 floors or 3 floors, that'll be listed in the block of text on the real estate details page. So what we want to do is search for that. We want to search for that word. So the particular site I was scraping was a German site. So I believe etage is German for floors. But whatever word you're searching for, you want to identify it with re.search. Now you can do match, but match is slightly more fussy, shall we say. So I've stuck with re.search, and I've read on Stack Overflow people saying use re.search, match will only match at the start of a string and so on. So what we've got is re.search, and then what we do is we search for this. So if you're familiar with regular expressions, you'll know that \s, lowercase s, means a space. And we want to search for a string, which will be etage, or if it's in English, floors, with a space before it, and then a number before that. So you want number, space, floors. So what we've got here is /d, decimal, and one or more decimals, followed by, in the second pair of brackets, space, and then uppercase E or lowercase e. So if it was English, it would be uppercase F, lowercase f. And then you would have, if you were looking for floors, it would be LOORS. And that's all enclosed within the parentheses that follow re.search. That's the first part. That's what you're looking for. That's the match effectively, although be careful because we're not using, I don't want to confuse match with re.match. We're using re.search. Anyway, this is what's called the pattern. So that's the pattern that we're looking for. Then you've got a comma and then your string. So if you've extracted a string from or if you've extracted a block of text from the property real estate listing, that is what you put in after the comma. So let's look at the example. So I've just made some nonsense here just to kind of keep it all onto one line, just to keep it nice and minimalist. Property data, so you've got all of these, and what we're looking for is where we've got a number followed by a space followed by etage. So if you look, we've also got it, sorry, trying to zoom in a bit for you. There we go. So you've also got etage there, but it's not preceded by a space. And because it's not preceded by a space, we won't get a match. So find number before etage. That's what we've just talked about. That's the very same bit of line of code. And then we create a variable. The variable equals that object. And what we want to do is use, after we've collected that object, we have to use dot group and then equals m dot group with parentheses. So m, that's the object, which is returned by the regular expression. And then we do dot group with empty parentheses, pair of empty parentheses. And then, well, obviously printing it gives us m dot group gives us 13 space etage. But although we're matching on etage, we actually want the number that comes before it. So that's where we need to use, we split. And then if we split, we can then get, so dot split breaks it into two, and then you've got 13, which is what you can, so by slicing it, you'll have square brackets 0 and square brackets 1. Square brackets 0 will give you 13, and square brackets 1 would give you etage. But we don't care about etage because that's exactly what we're looking for. So 13 is equivalent to the first slice. So that's why we've got the 0 there. And we can look for one or more digits. So just to go back over that, because we put the plus after the D there, after the decimal digit, we can look for one or more. So you don't know. I mean, a big building could have 1 floor, 2 floor. Obviously, a skyscraper would have 65 floors. So we didn't want to miss anything once it got into double figures. So that's why I've put the plus there. So it's looking for any number from 0 up to 99? No, any number. So that will find any number of floors. So if you've got 1,000 floors, you'll still get it. And what I did there at the end was I just showed what the type of that object was, because I converted it to an integer. I just wanted to check. So that there, it's an object. Then we convert the regular expression object to an integer, and then we just checked whether it was an integer, which obviously it is. So that's that one. That's part one. Okay, so part two. I had some work where I was needing to parse text which I'd extracted from a PDF. And if you saw an earlier video, I was using PDF to text, which I've subsequently found what I think is a better or better equivalent, which is called PDF plumber. And that converts a PDF into, or extracts all of the text from a PDF. So I've got a paragraph of text and I want to extract the vendor details. And I want to extract or locate the text that immediately follows, but no more. So there's our regular expressions, but let's just skip down here. I've left those on the website in case you want to kind of, you can actually copy that from there and then you can paste that into your favorite IDE or editor and play with that. So these examples I did in Jupyter Notebook, which I'm starting to use a bit more, and yeah, if you like Jupyter Notebook, I'm preaching to the converted. If you've not used Jupyter Notebook, I'll tell you the background to Jupyter Notebook. So a while ago, I only had a Chromebook and a Raspberry Pi, and I wanted to sit on my sofa and experiment with Jupyter Notebook, but obviously a Chromebook I know you can kind of install developer tools and install Linux on your Chromebook, but if you mess about with a Chromebook, it actually makes it take 40 seconds to boot instead of 5. So I put Jupyter on my Raspberry Pi, and then from my Chromebook, to put it in the browser, and then the IP address, and then obviously, yeah, anyway, there's tutorials out there on doing that. But if you want to run Jupyter Notebook on effectively a server, have it running on a Raspberry Pi, and then you can access it from, even if you've only got an iPad or tablet or whatever, you can access Jupyter Notebook from any device that can use a browser, that's got a browser. So, invoice. So this is the text that we extracted from the PDF, and this is kind of a made-up example, but we want to get the vendor name. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that the vendor name, the man is called, or lady is called E.A. Bungle. Elizabeth Alice Bungle, we'll call her. But if you look there, the A butts right up against payment number, so you can't do split, and that's really a big problem. And there's no comma either, so that's the big problem. So what we need to do instead is search for the vendor name. So re.search again. R is raw, and then vendor name. We're searching for the vendor name, and we're trying to do a pattern. So the pattern we're looking for is A to Z. So that's going to match there. Plus any more. So that will get from there, from the U upwards to, well, up to, and it would eventually keep going. So what stops it? And what stops it is in another group, which is question mark equals payment. And by doing that, we get the vendor name, and colon Bungle EA. So we need to split it at the colon. If we split it at the colon or semicolon, and then 1 for the slice, so that's the second part. So if we didn't do the dot split and the slice, we would end up with vendor name colon Bungle EA. And obviously, if you're inserting that into a CSV or a database, you don't want the category name actually going into the content of the cell or into the field. And again, I've done another example here. So this example is searching for just the vendor number. And where's the vendor number? Well, a human being can see it's there. But how do we tell the computer? And we know that it follows the colon, so that'll be fine. We can do another sort of split. But what we're doing is we're looking ahead up until we see vendor number, or search vendor number, and we're going to find from there all the way up to here, and then it's no longer a number, it's a letter. So we stop there. So before we stopped when we reached payment, because we were reading text and then, or string, and then another string. Whereas here, what makes the difference is we go from numeric to string there. So all we need to do is say, get the numbers that follow the vendor number, and yeah, get any number of numbers, but only get the numbers, and then it stops there. So I'm probably boring you now, but if you want to see the examples, click on the link on the page, and eventually when it loads, you can see, if you upload a Jupyter Notebook to GitHub, so you upload the IPYNB file, when you actually look at it in GitHub, it's actually appearing as if it appeared within Jupyter, so that's really cool. You probably already know that, but The great thing about it is you can then copy. So copy, and then you can fire up something like, don't let me down now, Sublime Text. If we've got, let's make this a bit bigger and let's have some fun with it. So, by the way, don't do what I do and keep calling files test1, because you'll end up with 100 files on your hard drive called test1. Right. So instead of property data, let's have some, well, I say fun, but you know, everything's relative, isn't it? I'm trying to do something which is not controversial, because obviously in this current climate, just about everything is controversial, isn't it? Okay, let's look for an article on apples. And oh, that looks like quite a. Let's get all of that. And I'll just call that text. And there we go. So this isn't very PEP compliant, is it? So let's just do this and then stick / in there. So that's our text. And then we want to search within text. Let's put in some numbers. So let's say 15 centimeter by, I'm just typing nonsense here, but 5 centimeter high red fruits. So what we want to search for here is, we want to search for the number of the size of the fruits. So here we go. And this will return, what should we call it? So let's just run that. And why have we got a problem? Haha, because we didn't put NTX. All right. Good. So that's run. And yeah, now what we need to do is we just need to go back, and as per here, what we need to do is we then need to do something a bit like, so instead of that, we need to do this. You might see M is used a lot because that's actually just the shortest way that you can reference the object, because M basically means match. So and that's not worked, which is why is that? Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Talking and writing code it's a skill. I'm working on it. So there we go. Let's run that. And here we go. We've got a successful outcome. So what I've done here is told it to look for CM, either uppercase or lowercase c, followed by M. And then when it finds it, we want it to find that. plus the number. So the result or the object should contain 5 space cm. So if we do something like, well, I'm going to split it. So if I don't split it, just do print height. Sorry. That gives us 5 centimeters, which is fine. But then, as I say, we want to split that really. So we'll do split and then pair of brackets. So if we just do that, it's not liking it. And then we do, why is it not liking it? Because we need to slice it, obviously. Then we just do, for the first slice, the first part of the slice, and helps if you put it all in brackets. There you go, there's a 5. So what we've looked at is how to, okay, let's just do one more. And oh, there's another one, 10 meters high. So if we look, we could be looking for the height of the tree. So instead of the apple height, that which is a bit of an odd example, if we call it tree height, just change that there. So what we're doing is we're looking for the tree height within the block of text, and we're looking for, we're just looking for the number that comes before meters, and it's not preceded by a space either. So let's run that, and it's 10 meters. And how are we going to clean that up? Well, I would probably, if we're looking for meters, I would, instead of splitting, because you can't really, there's no point splitting it, I would just do replace and just replace the m with nothing. So there we go. If we do that, and then tree height dot replace. Yeah, what's gone on there then? Oh, because it's found. Right. Let's just print tree height. Yeah, 10 meters. So then we just do, let's get rid of that. Tree height equals tree height dot replace, and then replace meters with nothing, and then we just do print tree height. Sometimes it's easier just to keep spreading things down onto more lines. Helps if you spell print right as well. There we go, 10. Well, hey. So apologies for the shocking typing as always, and yeah, I hope you've learned something. So really experiment with these. You're never going to learn regular expressions. It's like a massive language. You wouldn't learn how to speak Portuguese overnight, but you can easily just learn a couple of phrases, and obviously it's about getting by to start with and then becoming fluent. So yeah, hopefully that's been interesting, and I'll be back soon with something else. Bye.